the substitution started to happen, I don't think the players knew what they were doing
No.
because everybody was being moved around.
Disjointed.
I don't think they fully were on board with whatever was going on. There seemed to be a disconnection between what was in Chris Davies' head was going to happen and what the players were actually going to deliver. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. In this podcast, myself and Matt are going to review the Sheffield Wednesday game, which Birmingham City drew 2-2 at St.Andrews at KnightheadPark. Lots to talk about in this game, Matt, but felt that we got it was a late winner, which we'll talk about. Sorry, late winner, a late equaliser for us. So we actually sneaked a point in the end. But what's your overall thoughts on the performance?
I'll never get bored of a 90+9. Either equaliser or winner. It is a great feeling, regardless of the result. You know, when St.Andrews bounces like that at that time, it is amazing. But yeah, the word frustrating comes to mind again, Dad, for different reasons this time. You know, Coventry was just frustrating from start to finish.
The write-off,
write-off, yeah, fair, yeah, really good way of putting it. Whereas last night was frustrating due to individual errors.
Yeah.
You know, I thought we started the game quite bright. You know, we got that goal from Stansfield early on. We were having nice little link-up plays. We were quite fluid. And then the frustration just grew and grew and grew into the game, didn't they? Obviously, we let Sheffield Wednesday back in the game with a really sloppy goal. And I know we're going to break down the goals in more detail in a minute, Dad. But overall, for me, frustrating that we've dropped 2 points due to individual errors. And inexcusable individual errors from a defender, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, those type of mistakes in this league, we've said before, that's what's cost you. That's what has in this game. But in my opinion, you know, as the game went on, it looked chaotic. It looked disjointed, and you know,
disjointed is a good word.
Yeah, because you know, when I say chaotic, I think Chris Davies was trying to get the right blend of players, and the substitutions and the way that as we progress through the game, let's use for example like Tomoki Iwasa started off as a number 6. Ended up not in, then they moved him to right back when Bright went off injured, and then later in the game he was a centre half.
Yeah.
So
with Samstead and Neumann on the bench.
That's another thing as well. So you got players in those positions that could have done them, but it's almost like Chris Davies is so desperate to keep Tomoki on the pitch that he just finding a place for him anywhere. Well, that's not a good tactic. You know, you've got players specialists in those areas. Then sometimes you have to make those decisions. But that's why I say chaotic, because as I reflected on the game, I thought it's almost like desperation. You know, trying to just make changes without any any thought about, you know, what were the best positions for the players to play in, or formations?
I know that we always try and do a chronological order of events and the goals and stuff, but let's talk about it now, because you've spoken there about selection and people in different positions, kind of square peg, round holes, odd subs. I mean, those changes made a massive impact for me, you know, in the second half when Tommy Doyle and Patrick Roberts went off. And I think that made a massive difference, because I felt like Tommy Doyle had a great first half. I thought he was kind of running the show. He was dictating the tempo. He was linking up the play really well.
He was doing us what Barry Bannon does for Sheffield Wednesday.
And that was my next point. When Doyle went off, in my opinion, we noticed Bannon stepping up and controlling the game.
Yeah.
So it switched the midfield round. Yeah. So Doyle went off, and he was controlling it nicely. Bannon steps up and completely takes control of the midfield at that point. And it was really disappointing to see that switch. I mean,
I watched the post-match interview from Chris Davies. He said it was always planned that they'd have 60 minutes because they haven't had sufficient game time. We didn't want to get them injured. But
he's not playing them.
Yeah.
You only get game time in minutes by playing.
I found those substitutions bizarre myself, I must admit. Okay, I mean, Chris Davies knows the players better than we do. So he knows the level of fitness that they're at. But at that point, those are the players that you did need to have a positive impact. They needed to stay on.
Tommy Doyle especially.
Yeah, but Patrick Roberts has the ability as well.
Of course he does.
So he's a forward-thinking player. And, you know, at that point, we were 1-1.
Tommy Doyle was quite literally controlling the game.
Yeah.
And then he took him off, and Bannon then starts controlling the game. So it just seemed like such an odd substitution. I mean,
even the crowd.
Again, I'm not a fan.
The crowd, you know, you could hear murmurs in the crowd when those substitutions were made.
Oh, it wasn't a murmur. It was loud.
Well, loud. But I think people realised that those were the players, if anything, were likely to going to be able to make something for us, make us another goal.
Yeah.
And suddenly they were gone.
I know.
And you know, so he replaced them with Pate Kumas and Mark Leonard. I thought Mark Leonard actually was okay, in bits that he came on. But from that point onwards, after those substitutions, it all became really, really chaotic because that's when, you know, the other changes were made later in the day, because when Bright went off as well, and after Cashin was substituted, wasn't he? And that's when he put Tomoki in the centre half. and it just all seemed like a little bit desperate, trying to do something different. It didn't seem like it was a planned approach. It was like,
No.
okay, it's reactive. It was
Yeah,
reactive.
yeah,
I think that's probably a good way of putting it. It was reactive, and I think sometimes you have to do that. But it's the lack of the ability to be able to do something completely different. Like we've got a plan to do something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a plan to do something
A
different.
plan B, plan C.
Yeah, but
You gotta have more in your arsenal, Dad,
Mm.
than your plan A that isn't working, and it hasn't been working for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, but one thing I would say was positive. We did keep pressing. We kept. We were more on the front foot.
We didn't lose the game.
We didn't lose the game. We did go looking for that equaliser, and we should never have been in that position.
No.
This is the point I'm making. Let's talk about the goals actually, Matt, because I think this is the crucial part. Let's talk about Stano's goal first.
Yeah.
Is a good goal for Stano, wasn't he? He needed
was.
that goal, didn't he?
And Dad, this reminded me of the old Stano. I say the old Stano. He's only been with us for 2 seasons, but I mean, that aggressive press,
Yeah.
getting the ball back.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the goal he scored against Charlton last year, against Leicester away the season we got relegated. Just that aggressiveness where
Yeah.
he's putting pressure on the defenders. Great to see him put that pressure on. Great finish as well across the keeper.
Yeah.
1-0, and we all start to think, oh, we're back.
Yeah.
We start to think, oh, well, the momentum's going to start coming again. And I said, up until that point, I thought we looked okay. We were shifting the ball quite nicely, little passages of play. And really good for Stano for me to get that goal. I think he needed that. And I think we can come on to Kyogo in a minute, but Stano and Kyogo, they thrive off confidence, don't they? Because they're strikers.
Yeah.
So they need goals. And I was really happy to see Stano get another goal.
Yeah, and it was a good finish, wasn't it?
It was.
He obviously took a shot. It was blocked, and it pinged, and he followed it through, and then knocked it into the left-hand side netting inside the goal, obviously to score the goal, which is absolutely brilliant. And we had other chances as well in that first half. We didn't really sort of Tommy Doyle, really good corner which Eairn Cashin knocked into the side netting.
Yep.
That was in the first half as well, but. And then, like you said, we're not sort of putting teams away. And this was the problem last season. We would get a narrow lead, and then we would not sort of extend it. And then you've always got that chance of a team coming back. And then I was really disappointed with their first goal, Sheffield Wednesday,
On many levels.
And Cashin tried to do a diagonal, and which was headed back. And then it went to, was it Jamal Lowe? Jamal Lowe. And it's almost like the ball did come to Cashin first, but he almost controlled it and put it on a plate for him.
He tried to take it down, but his touch was that bad. It played him in.
Yes,
but it slowed it down for him. So put it on a plate.
And when Jamal got it, he didn't actually leather the ball that hard. It was, but I mean, Allsop got a glove to it on this side here.
Should have saved it.
And it trickled in. But there's a whole catalogue, like we were talking about some of the goals we conceded against Coventry, a catalogue of errors. That's another one. Firstly, that diagonal ball should not have been easily headed back into the danger area by their player, because Cashin was trying to find, it might have been Gray on the right, whoever was on the right, maybe
Samuel, maybe,
or Gray's on the left, or Patrick Roberts, maybe. I'm thinking. And then the ball just headed back. It was just so easy. So basically, Cashin does a diagonal. It's headed back. Then the ball comes across, and then it miscontrols it, puts it in the path of Jamal Lowe. It's just a comedy of errors.
That goal almost needs the Benny Hill soundtrack behind it.
Yeah,
because you've got
so many levels of wrong on it.
It's almost a joke.
Yeah.
You got the distribution terrible, the header back, and then the touch, and then the finish, and then the save from Allsop. There was 3 areas there where it was just a little bit of a joke, to be honest. And it's a team game, Dad. If someone makes a mistake, you're relying on your teammates to help you out sometimes. And fair enough, Cashin made 2 mistakes for that, the pass and then the touch. But again, in my opinion, Allsop should be doing better than that.
Yes, yeah, and that made it 1-1. Really, I mean, apart from their 2 goals, they offered very little else in terms of goal threats, Sheffield Wednesday. So we actually are the architects of our own downfall in this game. 100%. Because if those mistakes are not made by us, we win this game. I know that's easy to say in reflection, isn't it? When you look back, but that's the actual truth, isn't it? We had a few other chances. Stano had a couple of chances in the block from their defender, a good shot from Ernie Weaver. And then we went in 1-1, always feeling that we had the chance to maybe be better in the second half. But I thought we started the second half, not very good. I think Sheffield Wednesday came out, because like you said, I think the point of change we've already mentioned is the substitution. That changed the game, and it did, because Barry Bannon Doyle was controlling that midfield for us in the first half.
He was controlling the whole game.
Yeah. very positive, some good touches, and then he goes off, and then suddenly Barry Bannon's got more space, and you know what he's like. Whether you like him or not, he's a good player.
He is a good player,
and you can see that for their second goal as well, which will come on to me. But we had another chance as well, where Jay Stansfield, obviously down the tilt, and that's a shot where he ran in and he shot it from just outside the box, and the goalkeeper had to dive to his left, and he just knocked it past the post.
Yeah.
So that was going in. I don't think it had any massive power on it, but it was still a good chance. Horvath,
good save, good shot, good save.
Good saved it as well. And then the subs came, and this is where we was all scratching our heads, wasn't it? At this point, because at that point it was 1-1, and Pete, I think everyone was saying, well, why was he taking Doyle off?
Yeah, our most influential player. And I tell you, Dad, I'm just going to repeat the point from earlier. That was the turning point. That was when Doyle stopped controlling the game, because obviously he went off, and then Bannon stepped up and started controlling it more. You could see it clear as day, and it was so frustrating because Doyle was doing great. And what I liked about Doyle, Dad, he kept coming quite deep to get the ball. But when he does get the ball, he's trying little dinks forward. He's linking up the play moving forward. I love Tommy Doyle. I think he's a great player, and I think we need to see more of him moving forward because he does try and get us on the front foot.
Do you think, though, that Chris Davies is so fixed on picking Paik and Iwata that he's not allowing or seeing? He's almost like he sees them through rose-coloured glasses, that basically he's denying like the likes of Doyle and Leonard the opportunity to, because it's an automatic choice. Because there was nothing that warranted Tommy Doyle being
but if
taken up.
Chris Davies, by the way, I've not seen the post-match. Obviously, we went to St.Andrews yesterday. I made my notes, and then we're here this morning to get this video out. So I must admit, hands up, I haven't seen that Chris Davies interview, but he's alluding to fitness levels there, isn't he? So why aren't they fit enough yet?
Yeah.
I don't get that. They've had a whole pre-season with us now. Yeah. We're now, 7 games in? 8 games in?
Basically, what Chris Davies says in his post-match, he was protecting them. He didn't want them to get injured. And it was always planned that we'd have 60 minutes. But I think if
you've got to win the game in front of you.
But I think, no, you see, management, again, I'm not a manager, thankfully I'm not, but I think a manager has to read the game. And if you think, okay, it's 1-1, Tommy Doyle is running the show, which he pretty much was, right? Then okay, and if you got a plan, you're thinking, okay, we did say we'd take him off after 6 weeks, but actually he looks all right.
Yeah.
So maybe have a quick shout over, you all right, Tommy, and let's leave him on. If that's. But I'd say we say that without knowing the history of what their fitness.
There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes
that we don't know. So, but I'm just saying that if you want to win a game, sometimes you have to take a bit of a chance.
Yeah.
And is it worth keeping him on because he was our most progressive player? And we also have to talk about the Kyogo chance as well, Matt, because that came in the second half as well. He went through again, and it literally through, and we've seen this a lot, haven't we? He goes through on the goalkeeper, and all he has to do is shoot. But he dallied on the ball so much, as he's done before. He just got caught by Max Lowe, and he was tackled.
What I'll say about Kyogo, Dad, is I think his runs off the ball are borderline the best I've ever seen. He is phenomenal at running that line. But in front of goal, when the ball's at his feet, he looks out of his depth.
Yeah. But runs off the ball ain't going to get you points. It's goals. And when he came,
exactly.
when he came, he was asked, what are you going to give? And he says goals. Well, he hasn't yet, has he? He's scored 1 goal against Sheffield United in the Carabao Cup.
I mean, for a striker, Dad,
tap-in,
that chance that you're referencing when he went through on goal, which was a mistake from Sheffield Wednesday, that's a bread and butter.
Yeah,
for a striker. You've got to be putting that away. That is literally what you're paid to do.
That's the difference at this level. We gifted them 2 goals. We'll come on to their second goal, which I think was a gift because we were absolutely appalling defending from us. We gifted them 2 goals and we didn't put clear-cut chances away like that. That's what wins your game. That's the difference between winning, losing and drawing. You score your golden chances like this Kyogo one, then they're suddenly, you're back in the lead again at that point because they hadn't scored their second goal by the time Kyogo. Something on X, I was looking at social media on the way home because you drove last night, and someone said, Kyogo sometimes when he's in those positions, he's like he's running in wellies because he's so slow. And I think as well, he scored a load of goals in the Scottish Premier League, but you're not playing St Mirren, come on, anymore. These are fast, pacey back lines that you're not going to get that time in this league. And I say he has to learn that quickly, but he should have known that by now because he's already been in that position a few times. He should have just got that ball and leathered it.
Yeah.
Just put his foot
through. Imagine that was Stano.
Yeah.
Leathered that.
Oh yeah.
He'd have absolutely leathered
it. But Kyogo has to learn quickly because he can't keep missing chances.
Also,
because that you could argue because at the end he finished 2-2. That cost us 2 points because his lack of ability to take a shot. It's not. Don't get me wrong. It's not all on him. No. Don't get me wrong. I'm just making the point that silly mistakes and not taking your golden chances is obviously what costs you points.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
So I'm
Dad.
not picking him out as he's the only reason. There's lots that was not right there, but he's got to, he's a striker. He's paid to be a striker, and he's got to. He'll be judged on his goals ultimately.
What I'll say as well, Dad, in the first half, a bit to the first half, but more so the second half. Why are we knocking up long balls to him?
Oh God,
he's tiny.
I don't get that.
We were knocking up long balls to Kyogo, and he's clearly not got the strength or the height to challenge for it, and they were just heading it back.
Yeah.
Again, it come back. You raised a really good point, Dad, about chaos and things. I feel like we've. Again, I'm not being too dramatic with this here. Please don't take this and blow this out of proportion, but I feel like we've lost a bit of our identity. Like, we're a little bit all over the place. One, Chris Davies doesn't know his first 11 yet. He's still figuring that out. He's still figuring out his strongest 11. And he's still figuring out our style of play in the Championship because we have made the step back up to the higher level. But, there's just something about the way we play, again, coming back to your thing, that just felt so chaotic. And I don't understand lobbing long balls to Kyogo. I didn't get it. It makes no sense. You're just giving the ball back straight back to Sheffield Wednesday.
I think as well, Matt, because we haven't had a settled team. Look at some teams in our league, and they're pretty much picking the same 11, bar injuries and suspensions all the time. You look at our team and it changes so much. So and you've got different styles of forward for us. So we've got the likes of Stansfield, Kyogo, Ducks and Dykes, right? They're all different types. So when one of them is in the team, it's as if like the players, because they're not so familiar with playing as a group of 11 or starting, they don't know how to react when the style of the striker changes. So like you said, so when you've got a Kyogo, what's the point in lobbing long balls? He's about 4 foot, isn't he? He's not 4 foot. I know he's not 4 foot, but he's tiny, isn't he?
Yeah.
So there's no point in putting a long ball up to him. He did make a few good runs, like you say. He's making good runs, but that don't get you points. Making good runs don't get you points. It's goals that get you points, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that. But I've got to talk about this second goal because we saw it. We was down the tilt and it happened down the other end. But when I watched it back,
oh no, shocking, man! It really was bad.
Honestly, that is so basic.
I'm getting so sick of having this conversation, Dad. Set pieces. What is going on? We can't defend them and we don't attack them. It's driving me up the wall. Like, Chris Davies must see this. The coaching staff must see this. The set-piece coach must see this.
That goal, this Sheffield Wednesday goal, that's one of the worst set-piece goals we've considered. It was so easy.
Yeah,
I mean, what's Barry Bannon going to do? He's going to whip a ball in. I mean, you don't need to research. You know that Barry Bannon is going to whip that ball. You could see by the way he was going to be an outswinger, so obviously he was curled inward. But the ball goes to the far post, doesn't it? And it literally goes to it's George Brown. Yeah. But Cashin had a chance to intercept.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But Cashin has got to win that individual challenge and stop him getting anywhere near the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not picking on any players. I'm not as well. But you've got to question Cashin. You've got to question
2 errors.
2 errors, and also that goal against Coventry as well. He's cost us 3 goals in 2 games. Yeah. And, in this level, sometimes 1 goal is enough to win a game. So if you concede 3 goals as a result of making mistakes like that, that has to be brought into question. And that's not scapegoating anybody. That's just playing what's in front of our eyes and what's actually happened there.
If players make an error, you have to call it out. Someone put on X last night, Dad, the Cashin is the Ollie Burke of defence.
I think that's a bit harsh, but
No, but by the way, I don't necessarily agree with that. It just made me laugh.
But again, people might say, well, Cashin's new to the team, that he may be, he's just building up, but that's not good enough because Chris Davies should only be putting players in that team that are ready and capable of being competitive and doing.
Would you have sacrificed balance of the left foot for Neumann back in there then last night?
Without a doubt. After the Coventry performance, I would. I mean, we will have Jack Robinson back against Wrexham.
He's unruly though, isn't he? He just does what he wants. He does.
but he seems to be more of a no-nonsense clear the ball top.
I think he's closer to Ben Davies, isn't he?
Yeah, he's closer to Ben Davies. So I think we'll have him back, and we'll talk about the Wrexham game when we do that podcast as well. So there will be changes, and also as well, we picked up a few injuries as well again.
I know.
It looks like Bright's injured.
Yeah.
Stano.
Bright don't look fit to me.
No.
He doesn't look match fit. He looks off the boil.
No, he looks like he's basically come in. He's used all of his energy in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
He's burnt himself out already, and he just doesn't look. He looks nowhere near the player he was.
He looks a yard off the pace.
Because he looked brilliant for the first 3 games. I thought we got a proper player here in him, but he's been. I think the last 4 or 5 games he's been really disappointing.
He has.
I think
But in particular, the Coventry game and the Sheffield Wednesday game, it stuck out like a sore thumb how off half a yard the pace he was, a full yard off the pace he was. He's just not firing, is he? He's getting beat quite quickly and easily.
That's what worries me about our whole back line. There seems to be, when we obviously there's a lot of pacey teams in there. We do get caught out with pace a lot. That's both, Cochrane on the left, Bright on the right. We're a little bit better with Ethan Laird in the team, but he's injured as well now. So that's a worry because obviously teams will target that. And as well, Sheffield Wednesday used the long throw again a couple of times, and we always worry when we get a long throw again. And to be fair, I thought we coped with the long throw pretty well in that game. I thought Clara won most of the first balls.
It doesn't all go out the window, but then that set piece defending is so disappointing when you concede the goal that we did for the second Sheffield Wednesday goal, doesn't it? It kind of undoes all that hard work a little bit. It's like, why are we? And teams are going to be doing their research and looking at our vulnerabilities. And at the minute, we are vulnerable to balls in the box from corners, from long throws.
It's a mistake, it's the mistakes as well. But what I would say is, compared to the Coventry game, there was more desire and commitment from the players. I don't think that was. It was the mistakes that were the problem, and the way that once the substitution started to happen, I don't think the players knew what they were doing because everybody was being moved around.
Disjointed.
I don't think they fully were on board with whatever was going on. There seemed to be a disconnection between what was in Chris Davies' head was going to happen and what the players were actually going to deliver.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that needs to be. This is why we've talked about having a plan B, isn't it? Chris Davies needs to be coaching the players. Say, okay, if this happens in a game, we're going to revert to this, and these are likely to be the changes I'm going to make. And then this is your job, and this is your job. Yeah. It's almost like make the changes, and then they have to work it out. What am I supposed to do? I mean, what's that? I'm a right back now.
Yeah. And then centre half.
And then, actually, I'm a centre half now. Yeah, I was just waiting for him to go in goal. I mean, it was. That's what I mean. The word chaotic is a great way of describing the way that that game went. And in the end, to be fair to the players, and you have to give them credit, they kept going.
Yes.
Kept going.
Yeah,
and like I say, there was for me, one thing I will say is that, the Coventry game, they gave us nothing. But there was a desire there in this game. They could see that they were putting the effort in terms of the energy. They kept pressing forward, and we did get the equaliser. But this is, with the greatest respect, a team that we're at home with our home record. No game's easy in the Championship, but they were there for the taking. And if we hadn't had those individual errors, we would have won this game. But we come away with a point. But in the end, I suppose you could say, well, a point's better than nothing. It is still a point, isn't it?
And it shows that resilience and perseverance to never give up. To score in 90 plus 8 or 9, whatever it was in the end. It just shows that we don't know when we're beat. That is an understated attribute as well. And by the way, we're not. We know that was a ropey performance at best. But what I will say that going forward, there was more desire. We were shifting the ball in the final third better than previous games. But to me, we're just lacking that final decision again, that final little bit of quality getting the ball in the box. Just it comes back to your earlier point about finishing teams off. That little bit of spark of quality. When you look at teams like Coventry and your Leicesters and your Middlesbroughs this season, they have that quality in the final third that can put you to bed. We haven't quite clicked in that area yet so far this season. So I think decision making's big for me, and that little bit of quality.
It is, but one thing I have to say as well, I think the late goals we've been scoring is just papering over the cracks. Obviously the late goal, the late winner against Blackburn, the late winner against Swansea. If we hadn't have got that had been 4 points less. We could have lost this game, so we could have had 5 points less. All because of goals. So actually, we come away thinking, we've got a point from this. But what would happen if it was reversed? Say that we were 2-1 up and Sheffield Wednesday scored that goal. It would be like, oh my word, what's going on here? It'd be a different conversation. But it's the same outcome. And also as well, I think as the expectation that was built up by the media mainly at the beginning, and some of our fans actually, about we're going to get promoted, double promotion. It was hyped up about this, and I think and Tom Wagner's, we've got to get promoted. He's very keen for us to get promoted. Yeah.
Also, I think the fans
that's not helped. The expectation is not helped because ultimately, I think at the moment, as we sit today, we're 12th in the league, and and you would argue if we come up with the expectation, let's consolidate this season. Let's just see where we go and have a good season. You'd think, well, actually, we've done all right. But now, because of the hype about we're going to get promoted and we're the favourites and stuff like that, suddenly it's doom and gloom and disaster. It's all about perspective here.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
I think we need to readjust our perspective to realise this team playing like that are not going to get anywhere near the playoffs.
No.
That's the reality of where we are. But we need to find a way in which we can get the best out of those players and just consolidate this season and then keep building again.
Yeah.
Not think, we're going to go and fly through the leagues, because as we've already found out in 8 games, this is a very tough league.
Just remember last season, Dad, we had to be patient. I don't think we really found our form in League One last season until about November. Yeah. And we were winning games from August to November, but we were disjointed. The terms of round pegs in square holes kept popping up. Williamson on the right in the middle. We had Alfie May and Stansfield. We had these problems last season as well while we adjusted to League One.
Yeah.
I just think we need a little bit more time to adjust back into the Championship as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
And I think Chris Davies is finding his feet again in terms of figuring out his best 11. We have had a lot of turnover at the club again. You know, I think he's still the man to take us forward. That's my opinion. I know there's a lot of things on social media at the moment about Chris Davies. I don't agree with those personally. I think he's the man to take us forward.
I agree with you.
We need a bit of patience.
Yeah.
We don't want to become that club that change their managers every 6 weeks because we're not happy with 2 results
No.
back to back.
I want
to see a bit more of an identity on the pitch.
Yeah, and that has to come from Chris Davies.
Exactly.
He has to set the team up. But I agree with you. I think he's the man to take us forward without a doubt, and he needs to be given time. And that's something that that this club has to do. Is if you're building a team, then you have to. The only thing that would question is obviously Tom Wagner and Knighthead are in a hurry, aren't they? They're I mean, obviously you pictures of him last night. He clearly wasn't
happy.
Wasn't overwhelmed, was he?
No, he wasn't happy.
He wasn't happy at all. And and if we go on a really bad run, I mean, all managers are potentially vulnerable. But I hope that Chris Davies can, find a way of getting his identity. I think that's a great way of putting it. An identity within a team that he's comfortable picking. Because I'd much rather see a reasonably settled starting 11 that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Rather than keep chopping. I'll try this today and I'll try that today, because it doesn't work, does it? No. You can't keep doing the same things that's not working, expect it to suddenly work.
Oh. Einstein quote.
Yeah.
Einstein said something like, "You can't keep doing the same thing over and over, and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity," or something like that. Someone will correct me in the comments.
Well, I didn't know that was Einstein, so that makes me a very intelligent person. But it's true, isn't it? You can't keep, as Chris Davies used to refer to, or maybe he still does, as pounding the rock. You keep pounding the rock, and it's not breaking. You have to try something different to break it down, don't you? And that's, I think that's where we need to see something different from Chris Davies. Not like last night. That's not different. That's just reacting.
Yeah.
We need a plan. There needs to be a plan in place that the players know exactly what they're doing in all their positions. And even though ultimately we did gain a point out that game yesterday, it needs to be much more planned and structured, in my opinion.
Someone put on X that I'm not in the Davies out camp. I'm in the Davies sort it out camp.
So that's a good way of putting it.
It is, isn't it? So it was like, I have no doubt he has credit in the bank, Dad. I like Chris Davies. I'm a big fan of Chris Davies, but there are glaring problems that he needs to fix for us quickly moving forward.
Yeah, without a doubt. And obviously got a big game against Wrexham coming up, which we're about to, or we will in the next few days publish the Wrexham preview. So have a look at that. But just one note on Sheffield Wednesday. Fair play to their fans. They sold out their away end. All the trouble that's going on at that club. They're good fans. They always were. I mean, I remember the season before last when they came down. They were bottom of the league when they came to us. We did beat them 2-1 that day, but their fans were brilliant. And I hope they get sorted out, because the fans and the club deserve better, and the players do as well. They haven't been paid again. I did read somewhere as well that they bought a banner with them to the.
I read this,
and the club didn't let them in, didn't let use it, and I don't know why. They said it was pre-agreed, but I think that fans should be able to protest appropriately. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what happened there, but just so that Sheffield Wednesday fans know, we're all right behind you. We've had poor ownership over years, and we just hope he gets sorted out, because they're a big club, and they deserve.
It's such a predicament for their fan base, isn't it? They sold out their end at St.Andrews last night, so they've just contributed with the booking fees to Chancery. So again, it's that thing, isn't it, of supporting your club, being loyal to your club. And Sheffield Wednesday are a big club, but then also wanting to get that bloke out of your club. It's just such a difficult balance.
I don't think the away tickets will add that much to the coffers at Sheffield Wednesday, because, like you said, because that comes to blues.
Every little helps.
Apart from the booking fees, I think they must have had about 3,000 there.
Yeah. So you're talking like £9,000 in booking fees, £3 a booking fee or £2 a booking fee.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Fair enough. But it still adds money in his coffers, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But
we are right behind you, and we don't like to see that in football. Me personally, anyway. I know there are some fans out there that do all the banter, and I'm not personally about that. So I do wish them all the best moving forward. Good luck for the rest of the season, apart from when we play you at Hillsborough.
Yeah.
And we move on, Dad. We move on to another game against Wrexham on Friday. We know the problems. I think Chris Davies sees the problems. Hopefully, we fix these little things quickly. But I still don't. Maybe I'm walking around life with the blinkers on. I don't see any catastrophes here or any worries here. No, I think if you reset your expectations to say we're a mid-table championship team, starts to get a little bit brighter. I think when you think about the automatics and playoffs, you then start to panic and think
Yeah.
the world's coming to an end. But actually, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
We're
we're
doing all right.
I think that. I think the expectation levels are what we need to really adjust, really, as Blues fans, and actually realise that we're not going to get to the playoffs.
No.
We're not playing like that. Not like we've seen over the last 3-4 games.
Yeah.
We're not at that level, and that's not a bad thing. We're back in the Championship. Let's have a consolidatory season and move forward. But that's what we think, Blues fans, and we'd as always love to get your thoughts. See what you think about the game, your opinions on some of the stuff we've spoken about. Add a comment below. If you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan as well, we welcome comments from fans from the opposition team. So please leave your comments below. All we ask this is for both Blues fans and opposition fans, is that the comments that you leave, they're respectful, not abusive, and there's no foul language or aggressive nature. Anything else, please put your comments below. So that's it for this podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll find us on there as well. And you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all these channels right now. If you haven't subscribed already, then hit that big red subscribe button. And if you want notifications every time we put a podcast out, hit the bell icon right next to that subscribe button. So, hope you've enjoyed it. That's it for this one. And myself and Matt, see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.